you all very much for coming, and thank you also to Sheila and Peter and Dave for inviting me back to this lovely independent bookshop, which I gather has just won a prize for being the best independent bookshop in London. And you feel when you come in here this shared love of books, and in organising events like this, also a feeling of engagement in the whole process of writing books, which I, as a writer, am very grateful for. Not just for the royalties, but also because it's wonderful to feel that I'm in connection with my readers and to hear your questions and to feel that I'm not alone in my strange profession. So I suppose that I'm very pleased to share the experience of being a writer, but I've actually written this book to share a different experience with you, which is the experience of being a criminal barrister. I have been a criminal barrister for 19 odd years, and that's been a sort of apprenticeship for writing this book. I went into the law because I wanted to write, not because I was a barrister at all, but when I left university, I felt that I was far too young and inexperienced in the ways of the world to have anything interesting to say at all. And what I needed to do was to go out and find out how the world worked. And the best way of doing that I could think of was to become a criminal barrister. And indeed, it's right, I think, that in the criminal law you come across very interesting and quite extreme situations. People's lives are at a moment of crisis when they're accused of a criminal offence, and you get an insight right deep into worlds which are quite different from yours, and you sometimes have almost a feeling of vertigo as you see what's going on, and also a feeling of empathy and connection with people who you might not have ever expected to have that connection with. So the book explores some of those sort of issues. It also deals with the relationship of a woman with a family and her work, and it's very much a struggle of the age, the difficulty of having both a family and work. And Ophelia, as you'll see, for all her effort, for all her empathy, for all her good intentions, makes a terrible mess of things. And although she loves her husband and her son more than anything, she neglects them cruelly, and this has terrible consequences. So, to some extent, I wanted to write a book also to examine those questions. It's quite lonely being a writer when you're used to the eventful life of a criminal barrister, where you're always meeting people and sparring with your opponent. So in some ways this is recompense for that loneliness, but also there's a deeper satisfaction that I've found in this process of writing, where you're drawing strands together and you begin to feel that you're imposing and finding a kind of coherence, a kind of confluence of your different stories. And this in some ways almost feels like a revenge upon the long days that you can spend as a criminal barrister waiting for something to happen, waiting for a courtroom to be found with a judge and a jury, waiting for a witness who's just completely disappeared, waiting for a defendant, waiting for an interpreter. And in this time as you wait, you feel everything. You feel your life, you feel meaning ebbing away from you. So for me, writing is a sort of an affirmation of my ability to control my world to some extent. I haven't written this book without help. I had very patient friends and family who I would foist chapters upon, but when they started to look a little green at the sight of the same chapter for the third time round, I realised that I needed to go and do a course. So I went off and did an evening course for a year, which was very helpful because it meant that I found that I wasn't the only person who was foisting chapters on other people, and it meant that I could enter into a sort of dialogue with other similarly afflicted individuals, and have a bit of guidance also from teachers, and also gave me a chance to be part of a sort of kind of talent show at the end of the year where agents came and gave their chance to pick you up out of the very large pile of would-be hopeful writers. So I'm very grateful to my agent for having picked me out of the large pile, and to my editor, Aurea, who pointed out to me that I was slightly too much in love with my material. When I wrote this book, I've written this book many times, and there were an awful lot of comic interludes which I was quite taken with. They seemed to me to illustrate peculiarities of the criminal bar in a way that was illuminating and even moving and certainly funny. But they didn't, I have to say, advance the plot. So quite a lot of them have gone and ended up on the cutting room floor. So that's really my editor that you have to thank for a kind of quick-paced read, because otherwise it might have been 4 times as long, and although you might have chuckled, you might not have made it to the end. This is the cheap paperback, although I actually prefer it to the more expensive daily trade, which some of you may already have, but obviously you'll now need this highly, very stylish, I think slightly retro, I feel sort of 50s, 60s look. Nice mix of colours, quotes from the reviews on it. Anyway, so well done Short Books for that, and thank you to Bernard for keeping me sane through this whole process. So what I thought I would do is to read to you about Ophelia coming back to Chambers, because I've told you this is a book about